Right, welcome back to the channel. It's Ash here. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're doing a reaction video to Stephen Bartlett and Simon Sinek, bit of a mouthful, on the Diary of a CEO podcast. Welcome back. Okay, so I saw this video actually a few months ago now, and at the time I noted it down. I want to do a reaction video to it, and I just remembered, so I'm going for it today. Now the video is Simon Sinek having a little bit of a rant about Gen Z and their approach to the workplace. Caused a little bit of a hurrah on LinkedIn, but let's have a look. Let's go.
When I was younger, if you didn't like your job or if you didn't like your boss, the bad news was you had to stay there for a year, because
I can hear all the Gen Zers going, hell nah, definitely not.
If you left in anything less than a year, you would hurt your CV. They'd be like, why did you leave in under a year? You know? And now young, again, particularly young people, there's no stigma to quitting, and it happens sometimes too quickly.
Now the older generation are clapping back. They're like, these youngsters, they haven't been taught how to fail. First sign of difficulty, they're out the door. Everyone's getting participation medals. Like, people need to learn how to win and lose. Okay.
If you're confrontation avoidant, and I've seen it happen, I'm too afraid to ask my boss for a raise, so I just quit. Or I've been here for 4 months, I don't like the culture, I quit. Or I got in trouble at work, I hate my boss, I quit. And so people are quitting so much. I don't mind if something's super toxic, get the heck out of there. Most places are not super toxic. Imperfect, yes, but toxicity is like there's a standard, you know, and it's a high bar.
What's that high bar? Like, how toxic is too toxic? Like, I only cried in the office once this month, so it's not quite toxic enough. Maybe it's too toxic for some people. Maybe that's normal for others. Who knows?
Or this doesn't fit my values, or this doesn't agree with my politics, I quit. My fear is that if we flash forward 5 years, there's going to be a disproportionately high number of people who have 8 jobs in 5 years. And what's going to happen is an employer is going to look at them and be like, I can't take the risk that you're going to stick around. I'm not hiring you. You sound like an amazing candidate, but you're too high risk for.
Okay, I hear that. But if someone is genuinely getting hired time and time again, forget about how long they're staying at each workplace. Each time someone has decided to bring them on board, so they clearly have some kind of skill set that is in demand. Otherwise, they would just never get any roles. So you got to look at it both ways. I wonder, could we argue people who have been in a role for 10 years, maybe they're not in as high demand as the person who's moving around? Maybe they haven't increased their skill sets. I don't know. Up for debate.
And because you've had so many jobs over such a short period of time, you actually haven't stuck around long enough to build up a skill set or know what it's like to manage a storm, because you've stuck around in the good times and bailed on the bad times. And so you have now been in the workforce for 5.
Did you see Stephen there? He was agreeing way too hard. I realized maybe I shouldn't be agreeing so hard right now. Let me see if I can catch that again.
Set or know what it's like to manage a storm.
Nodding his head.
Because you've stuck around in the good times and bailed on the bad times.
Nodding harder.
So
straight face.
Straight face. Workforce for 5 years, but you don't have 5 years of work experience. You have 4 months of work experience, and so I don't want you either, because you've never been through a battle. You know, and I see it happening. A young person who's been at a company for 8 months goes to their boss and says, "I want a raise, I want a significant raise, because I'm doing the same job as those people." Those people have been in the workforce for 10 years. I know, but I'm doing the same work as them, and I'm doing good work. That's true. You are doing the same work as them, and you are doing good work. The difference is, I'm not paying them just because they've obliquely been in the workforce for 10 years. I'm paying them because you know how to hoist a mainsail in calm waters. And you can hoist a mainsail in calm waters as well as they can hoist a mainsail in calm waters. The difference is, they also know how to hoist a mainsail in a storm. I don't know if you can hoist a mainsail in a storm. I pay them more, because I know that if we run into hard times, I know that they know what to do, and I can trust that we can navigate. And I also know that they will teach you how to hoist a mainsail in a storm. It's like...
Fair points. I mean, yeah, you can't really argue too much with what he's saying. But at the same time, are you just paying people because they're sitting in a seat? Like, are they really bringing value to the business?
The same reason I buy insurance. I don't expect my house to burn down, but I pay just in case. I'm paying them more for a skill set that I hope they never have to use. That's why they get more.
Interesting. Also very interesting. I have a few thoughts here. Okay, so back in the day, especially when I was in the early stages of my career, you were picking between pretty dreary places to work. There weren't a whole host of places that were really cool. Like, you see these tech companies with the cool offices and the sofas and the ping pong tables. I know these are all perks and gimmicks and whatever, but there was not. It was, you were choosing between one dreary office and another. These days, we have so many great businesses you can work for. It's almost have like the paradox of choice. You're in a really cool place to work. You see another place that has this benefit that your place doesn't. And you're like, oh, let me go over there. That looks better. I guess maybe it's also like a grass is always greener on the other side type of mentality. And I suppose you could argue the social media generation, who are always looking at other people on Instagram and Facebook and how they're living their lives and always want to move on to the next thing and want to get there quicker and be there now. But then you do hear what Simon's saying about having to show some longevity in a role. You have to demonstrate that you're able to get through tough times, that you're able to work together in a team for a long period of time. You have to see it from the employer's perspective sometimes, and hiring isn't cheap. If you're bringing someone into your team, you're not just paying their salary, you're paying all the taxes and NI and everything that comes with it, but also the training, the development, the onboarding. It probably takes most roles 2 to 3 months before a person is actually performing up to a certain level that they need to bring benefit to a business. So if you're only going to stay for 6 months, it's taken you 3 months to get to competency, then you only have 3 months of effectiveness, and then you're out the door. Then you're working a month's notice where you're probably not being too effective. On balance or probabilities, can I take a risk on you, basically? And if you're constantly moving around, spending less than a year at each place, a lot of employers will choose, no, you're not worth the risk. You have to take that into consideration. But then at the same time, millennials, baby boomers, we're getting on now, so we have to think about the future and what the future of the workforce is going to look like. The future of the workforce is Gen Z and whatever generation is coming next. You have to consider that maybe Gen Zers will move around a lot more, but when it's Gen Zs doing the interviews who may have moved around a lot themselves, they may not have the same biases that this generation has. So the future of the workplace is going to be very interesting to see how it pans out. We're seeing this kind of freelance economy, the gig economy playing out, so maybe that could extend to kind of white collar workers. Employers need to appreciate that Gen Zs want different things from the workplace. They want a job that's fulfilling. They want a job where they're going to learn. They want a job where they're going to develop. They want a job where they're going to be inspired by their managers. We need to create a working environment to set this generation up for success. So you tell me, what do you think? Are Gen Zs right? Do we need to be a bit more flexible, a little bit more understanding about moving from role to role? Or are the older heads right, and you need to stick with a job for a longer period of time to be more effective, more beneficial to a company, to bring more value to an organization? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like on your way out, subscribe and share. I'll catch you in the next one. Right, let's get cracking. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's Ash here. Oh, my door's open. Let's try that again. Okay. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's Ash here. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're doing a little reaction video to Bartlett and Simon Sinek.